Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well-informed. Today, we're heading into mid-century East Houston. Think Chinaberry trees, a lot of simmering tension, but also these surprising moments of peace.
Yeah, and our map for this journey is Chinaberry Sidewalks, the memoir by Grammy winner Rodney Crowell. It's incredibly personal.
Absolutely. We're diving deep into how Rodney Crowell, the artist, was shaped.
Right. Our mission here is to pull out insights, how the physical place, those really tumultuous family dynamics and this cast of characters, how they all forged resilience, and importantly, artistic sensibility.
Even out of hardship, it's about understanding how these sort of ordinary beginnings
Mm.
fueled a really extraordinary life, and maybe what unexpected lessons you, listening, might find for yourself.
Okay, so let's get into it. That family unit sounds, well, volatile is maybe putting it mildly.
Yeah, Crowell paints this really vivid picture. He calls it a constant war of hard words and physical abuse between his parents, J.W. and Cosette.
And he mentions that early memory, right, of his mother in the bathtub.
He does. His pregnant mother being belt-whipped. But then he immediately pulls back and asks, but whose memory is this?
Which is fascinating, that blurring between what he saw and what became like ingrained trauma.
It really speaks to the psychological impact, doesn't it?
Definitely. And his coping mechanism back then, he actually chose to sleep on a pallet on the living room sofa.
He preferred that to his own room.
Yeah, he called his room a mildewed cave.
Oh.
But his mother felt this deep shame about it, him not having a proper room, tied into their hopes, their golden future that wasn't quite happening.
You can feel his dread in the writing, especially about when his father started drinking, that hellish crescendo, he calls it.
And that leads directly to that New Year's Eve story, 1955.
Oh, right, the party.
Drunken party, his mother mad as a hornet, his father having lowered his standards enough to guarantee trouble.
And 5-year-old Rodney decides he needs to intervene, a peacekeeping mission.
Using his father's rifle, because his dad had that saying.
The insurance policy thing.
Exactly. A man's aim's about as close as he's going to get to a paid-up insurance policy. So Rodney walks in, armed.
It's terrifying to imagine.
And then the gun goes off, accidentally shoots the linoleum floor, really close to a guest.
Wow. Party stopper, I imagine.
Instantly. And his father jumps on him like Batman on pet pills, Crowell writes. But instead of hitting him,
He hugs him.
a tight hug gave Rodney this profound feeling of comfort. It's such an unexpected twist.
That is remarkable after such a dangerous moment. What does that tell us about JW, you think? Or about how trauma works?
Well, it shows how sometimes these extreme moments, even a kid's mistake, can actually force a change. A boundary gets set.
Because JW stopped keeping loaded guns after that.
Exactly. From that day on, Rodney believes it might have saved his parents' lives many times over. It's like a crisis point became a safety point.
So the family life was chaotic. What about the house itself? Did it reflect that? The one on Norvick Street?
Oh, absolutely. They bought it feeling this crippling sense of disentitlement, hoping for that golden future.
But the reality was different.
Yeah, a spiffy new crackerbox palace, he calls it, in Jacinto City, which he describes as a one-story town with a settling for less quality.
He even talks about the San Jacinto Monument, right? The local landmark.
He saw its misplaced glory, memorializing people he called alcoholics, opium addicts, slave traders. A real clash between the imposing image and the reality he perceived.
And the house itself was physically flawed, too.
Deeply. Basically a tar paper shack. It just couldn't handle the elemental onslaught of Southeast Texas weather.
Leaky roof.
Big time. Indoor waterfalls. And his father's solution, just put pots and pans underneath. And he'd say, I like the sound of the rain. Passive acceptance.
But his mother reacted differently.
Completely. She was paralyzed with shame, sweeping rainwater out the back door. It really shows how differently they processed their situation, their shared space. For her, it was this constant, visible reminder of their struggles.
A physical manifestation of the internal chaos.
Exactly. It wasn't just shelter. It was shaping their emotions every single day.
So, outside the leaky house, life in Jacinto City had its own struggles. You mentioned a battle against nature.
Oh, definitely. It was relentless, especially mosquitoes. There was an encephalitis epidemic going on, which heightened the fear.
Sounds grim.
And the technology wasn't exactly helping. They had this attic fan
Yeah.
that was installed backwards. A cockeyed stroke of low-cost ingenuity, Crowell calls it. It sucked air in instead of blowing it out.
So it brought the outside, including the mosquitoes.
Precisely. You can imagine the panic. Rodney developed this fear, inspired by Vincent Price movies,
Yep.
of a mosquito takeover of the world.
So how did he defend himself, aside from, swatting?
He built this fortress of layered cotton around himself at night, which naturally often led to lack of oxygen and bleeding ankles from the rubbing.
Wow. Desperate measures.
And his father, J.W., waged his own feudal war against them. Lots of insults hurled at the bugs. Well, sometimes racially charged stuff reflecting the time, like shouting, "Y'all are just like them Mexicans at the damn Alamo," while his wife would offer high-handed admonishment.
Sounds like a stressful household.
J.W. would eventually give in, saying something like, "Somebody around here's got to win at something." Using Pixie insecticide felt like a moral victory for him.
And then there was the DD2 truck.
Ah, the mosquito dope truck. A 1947 Army pickup spraying these huge, blue, boiling 20-foot plumes of sweet-smelling DDT.
Sweet-smelling, oh dear.
And the kids, including Rodney, would run behind it, playing in the fog. A totally bizarre, joyful ritual in retrospect. Rodney even thought the mosquitoes actually thrived on this stuff.
That's just astonishing, the mindset back then.
It really was. And mosquitoes weren't even the headline act for Rodney.
No, who was?
La cucaracha, cockroaches.
Oh boy.
He describes them teeming in dark kitchen corners, like a single living, breathing, and grotesque organism. But the family's reaction? Robotic nonchalance. They'd just rinse out glasses that had been crawling with cockroaches seconds before.
They just adapted.
Completely. It shows incredible resilience, maybe, but also the sheer level of constant low-grade stress they lived with, normalizing the grotesque.
Amidst all this chaos, the family, the house, the bugs, he still had a childhood, right?
Adventures?
Oh yeah. A full-tilt, living-on-the-edge childhood, he calls it. A lot of it with his friend Dabo Buck, racing battleships and drainage ditches, that kind of thing. Those Chinaberry Sidewalks were their playground.
Any specific escapades stand out?
Well, there's the shoplifting incident at Sears. Him and Dabo stuffing fishing lures and plastic soldiers down their pants.
Uh-oh.
Hot.
Oh, yeah. Dabo's mom, Margie, threatened to cut your balls off.
Yeah.
And the security guard, who sounded like something out of Sleepy Hollow, mentioned Gatesville Reform School.
Scary stuff for kids.
Definitely. But Dabo's dad, Mr. Buck, stepped in, very pragmatically, just said they'd done learned their lesson. End of story.
A rough but maybe effective lesson.
It seems like it. Then there was the fishing trip on the Brazos River.
The one with the flash flood warning?
That's the one. They went anyway. And sure enough, the bank gave way. Roddy describes this terrifying plunge like a liquid escalator.
And Mr. Buck?
Completely calm. Just handled it. Another example of that sort of ingrained toughness, that resilience he saw in the adults around him. Most made an impression.
Absolutely. Learning survival by watching.
Right. And sometimes the conflicts were between kids and adults,
Yes.
like with Ricky Schmidt, the German dentist's son.
Rodney was friends with him reluctantly.
Yeah, reluctant friendship.
Yeah.
Ricky's dad apparently had a perverse passion for throwing dirt clods at them during visits at the reservoir.
Okay. Weird.
So the local kids, the Norfolk Street freedom fighters, decided to ambush Mr. Schmidt.
How did that go?
Mr. Schmidt, according to Rodney, reacted with military training. He actually hit Dabo with a rock he threw back.
Ouch. Things escalated quickly.
Tragically so, because later, Ricky accidentally shot Dabo with a razor-tipped arrow.
Oh no, is he okay?
It was serious, a 3-inch slice, a 2-foot stream of blood. Rodney's mom had to act fast, t-shirt tourniquet, foot in a mop bucket. Classic quick thinking in chaos.
That must have been traumatic.
Deeply. It ultimately ended the friendship between Rodney and Dabo, mainly because of the age gap, becoming more apparent. Marked the end of an era for him.
It feels like all these intense moments, pests, danger, injuries, weren't just stories.
No, they were formative. Forging resilience, shaping his view of the world. That's the bedrock of his later art, you feel.
Speaking of formative, let's talk about school and finding his voice, literally singing in class.
Yeah, he describes these involuntary disorders of just singing, which of course didn't go over well with teachers like Mrs. Kane and Mrs. Smith. Hundreds of lines. I will not sing in class. Then it escalated to the vice principal, Mr. Holcomb.
The paddle.
The Crimson Excalibur, Rodney calls it. But even 3 hard licks across my scrawny rear-netted zilch, the music just wouldn't stay inside him.
He couldn't stop himself.
Apparently not. It got so bad the school suggested professional help. A psychiatrist.
How did his dad react to that?
J.W. was outraged. A sucker punch reaction. You want me to take him to a psychiatrist just for singing out loud?
So what was J.W.'s solution, his cure?
Oh, it was classic J.W.
Yeah.
He made Rodney deliver political flyers and forced him to sing the campaign songs like Elect J.R. Booger Attenbury. out loud.
Whilst delivering flyers. Oh, the humiliation.
Especially past the houses of girls Rodney liked. The last straw was on Laquita Freeman's block. Rodney finally refused, dug his heels in, and that apparently ended his public singing for a while.
Wow. Using shame to silence the singing. It worked temporarily.
Yeah, a really complex way a parent tried to fix something, but maybe stifled it too.
Now, you mentioned Laquita Freeman, first love.
Oh, big time.
Right.
She was the most compelling creature in his elementary school. He had this intense crush.
Any memorable incidents?
The bicycle crash. He was fantasizing about riding alongside her, lost control, and slammed into Mr. Weiss's Plymouth.
Ouch. Was he hurt?
Skinned up half the skin on the right side of my face. And then Laquita appeared. Like the Mexican ghost of Florence Nightingale, he writes. Cemented the crush, of course.
Peak adolescent drama.
Yeah.
But there was also shame mixed in with love, right? The Kotex kid thing.
Ah, yes. The recurring nightmare of being sent to buy Kotex supers for his mother.
Mortifying for a young boy back then, I imagine.
Especially the time at the Minimax grocery store. He ran into Mrs. Freeman, Laquita's mom, and Laquita herself. And the box of Kotex fell out of his bag.
Oh, no. Where did it
In
land?
fact, it turned in a punch bowl. Right in their shopping cart.
Oh, the horror!
Laquita silently picked it up and handed it back to him. He felt this intense hatred for my mother in that moment and swore he'd never buy Kotex again. It's amazing how those small moments of deep shame stick with you.
Absolutely. So, amidst all this, how did music start to become a real path for him?
Well, there were these interesting figures, like Spitshine Charlie.
The shoe shiner.
Yeah, a humpbacked man Rodney calls a source of mundane enchantment. Describes him looking like a mix of dwarfish Louis Armstrong and Toulouse-Lautrec.
Quite the image.
And Charlie had this flair, a maestro's touch, whistling, popping the rag. Rodney basically apprenticed with him and eventually inherited his shoe shine kit.
Finding mentorship outside the family again.
Exactly. And then, of course, there was his father's band, J.W. Crowell and the Rhythmaires.
Playing honky-tonks.
Yeah, with pawn shop drums. Rodney started playing drums with them pretty young. His dad just said, ain't nothing to it.
And J.W. had a knack for controlling the crowd.
A honky-tonk alchemist, Rodney calls him. Could apparently turn bar fights into dancing. Just knew how to work the room.
But it wasn't all magic, was it? There was that fight involving his mother.
Right, Cosette getting into it with Nelda Glick at Cal's Corral. Rodney saw his mother's initial spineless, pathetic approach suddenly turn into a physical attack.
How did that affect him?
It kind of broke the spell. He became disillusioned with his father's whole singing star act after seeing the reality of the violence surrounding it. Pull back the curtain.
I see. The performance versus the reality again.
But then there were purely inspirational moments too, like seeing Jerry Lee Lewis in 1958.
The concert during the thunderstorm.
Yeah, at Magnolia Gardens. Jerry Lee apparently showed complete disregard for the danger, just played right through it, even incorporating the storm into his act. Pure rock and roll energy.
That must have been powerful for a young musician.
Hugely inspirational. It showed him a different kind of musical power, raw and authentic. And around that time, inspired by a girl named Rhonda Sisler, he started playing guitar with real purpose.
Forming bands.
Yep. The Rolling Tones, then the Arbitrators, playing gigs at places like the Greens Bayou Teen Canteen, finding his own musical feet.
But it wasn't a straight path, was it? There was some darkness, too.
No, definitely not straight. He dropped out of school, got into marijuana and LSD, played Holiday Inn gigs. It got pretty bleak.
He mentions a near suicide attempt.
Yeah, a moment where he just wanted the hurt to stop. Really raw honesty there.
Need to get help.
He eventually saw a psychiatrist who gave him this, well, unconventional interpretation of his attraction to unattainable women.
Which was?
That his driving desire was to kill my mother and make love to my father.
Wow. Okay. That's intense.
Definitely Freudian. But somehow, navigating all that darkness, that self-destruction and introspection, seems crucial to the depth we hear in his later work. It wasn't easy, but it was part of the process.
The messy parts fueling the art. So let's move into the later years, the legacies, his father's decline.
Yeah, J.W. carried that constant shame about his lack of education, not being a civil engineer. Rodney felt those lifelong disappointments contributed to his death, gave him a broken heart.
That's a powerful way to think about it, not just physical causes.
Right, and the hospital scenes when J.W. was dying are incredibly moving. He was in a coma, on a ventilator.
And his mother.
She was heavily sedated. Rodney actually confronted the doctor, called him a pill pusher, and kicked him out because he wanted his mom lucid for the final moment.
Taking charge.
Yeah. And then he had that private goodbye with his dad, whispering, Go ahead, Dad. It's all right if you want to slip on out of here. I love you. I'll look after Mom.
So vulnerable. And then his dad rallied briefly.
A brief miracle.
Yeah.
He woke up, talked about Emmy Lou, got confused about his jobs,
Yeah.
and it just opened the floodgates for Rodney. All these memories came rushing back.
Like what?
Dancing on Galveston Beach, batting practice, a snow fight, fishing tricks, Rodney being his water boy. Just this cascade of shared moments highlighting the bond beneath all the conflict.
A life flashing before his eyes.
Exactly. And then Brother Looney, this country preacher, came in. No big pronouncements, just a simple prayer. Go to God, Jay, and JW passed peacefully. Rodney saw him transform, becoming a 19-year-old boy again.
Beautiful imagery. What about the funeral?
Oh, the funeral had its moments of absurdity, too. The funeral director was drunk. His Aunt Nadine tried to climb into the casket, yelling, "Don't go without me, JW."
Oh, my goodness.
And Rodney found himself trying to gently pull her back, almost amused by the sheer, raw chaos of their grief. It's that dark humor again, right alongside the heartbreak.
It really shows how families grieve in their own unique, messy ways. It's not always neat and tidy.
Not at all. Crowell captures that perfectly. The theatricality, the humor, it's all part of remembering the full person, the messy life.
And his mother, Cosette, what was her journey after JW died?
She lived alone for 5 years, never learned to drive. Apparently her nerves were too bad, something involving a minivan incident with Roseanne Cash.
Okay.
But she found a kind of freedom, a closer connection with Rodney, his wife Claudia, and the granddaughters. They called her Nana Zeke.
Nana Zeke, I like that.
And her later years took a spiritual turn. She started having these vivid visions of Tex Edward.
Her infant son who had died.
Yes. Died just 37 hours after birth, decades earlier. She said he visited her daily, described him as being about 4 years old with beautiful curly black hair.
That's quite specific. Did Rodney believe her?
Her stories were so vivid they sparked visions in him, too. And she had a premonition, told Rodney, "I'm not going to be around much longer."
And she was right.
Tragically, yes. The end was sudden and a bit strange. A phone call where she just casually mentioned having a heart attack,
Casually.
as if commenting on the weather. This was the day after she'd been dressed up like Madonna for a music video Claudia was shooting.
What? That's wild.
And she insisted on going to Baptist Hospital, even though Claudia warned her, they'll kill her.
Ominous. What happened at the hospital?
The doctor was cagey, talked about complications, things they weren't sure of. Rodney felt they were covering for potential malpractice,
What was the actual cause?
a hemorrhagic stroke. And they discovered she'd had a predisposition to it since an in utero stroke. But just before she passed, there was another moment involving Claudia.
The family psychic.
Right. Claudia channeled Cosette's last words. Cozy says, "Be of comfort, my sweet babies, for I am happy." And then she passed, peacefully. Just that casual, Rodney notes.
Wow. Another layer of the extraordinary in their lives.
And the wake followed tradition. Lots of stories. Cousin Charles gave this incredibly long eulogy, starting drunk, getting sober, hogging the mic.
And the family reaction.
The granddaughters were apparently delighted, saying Nana Zeke would have loved the chaos. It feels like this family just embraced the whole messy spectrum of life and death.
So how did Rodney tie all these threads, the chaos, the music, the loss, into his own artistic path?
It's remarkable how it came together. He found success, eventually producing a live album with Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Carl Perkins.
The very guys he heard growing up with his dad.
Exactly. Full circle. And he consciously used his father's music, those old folk ballads like The Great Speckled Bird and The Rosewood Casket,
How did he use them?
as musical currency, he says. It was his way into the Nashville songwriting scene, connecting with people like Guy Clark and Townes Van Zandt. He could trade those old songs, learn from the masters.
So his father's legacy, even the painful parts, became a key to his own future.
Absolutely. Those roots gave him something unique. And then Emmylou Harris invited him out to California, and that really solidified his path to becoming the Grammy-winning artist we know. Every single part of that East Houston upbringing fed into it.
It really is an incredible story. You see how the violence and the tenderness, the poverty and the dreams, the hardship and the beauty, it all coexisted.
It's a testament to how our narratives are woven from the places and people who shape us.
His journey just underscores the impact of family, of place, those internal struggles. It shows how challenging beginnings can actually build this incredibly strong, unique foundation.
It makes you realize our strengths often emerge from those very experiences we might find difficult or wish were different.
So, as you think about this deep dive, maybe consider this. What are the Chinaberry sidewalks or the leaky roofs in your own past?
Yeah, what challenges or things that seem like imperfections? Maybe they gave you something unique, your resilience, your perspective, maybe even hidden talents.
Where did your own extraordinary story really begin? Something to think about.